Hello everybody, and welcome to Daf Yomi. To the millions, I'm sure, watching on Daf Yomi on YouTube. It is wonderful to have you all here. Unfortunately, no one on Zoom. We have pre-recorded this so that you can watch it live on Sunday. Today we are going to be doing Daf Kuf Mem Tes 149, getting ever closer to the end of Masechet Shabbat. We are in the 23rd chapter, and we are actually going to pick it up from the bottom of 148b, Kuf Mem Ches Amud Bet. So here it is on the screen for you now. And the reason why we're starting here is because there is a little Mishnah just here that I feel like it's important for us to see, so it helps us understand what we're going to be doing for today's page. So here comes the Mishnah. Strap in, everybody. It's going to be a great one. Here we go. Says the Mishnah: Mone Adam es orchav ve'es parosav mipiv avalo min hakasav. A person is allowed to count the number of guests he is coming, or the number of appetizers, the number of starter portions, or the number of portions generally that need to be distributed to guests. You're allowed to do that verbally, by heart. Aval lo min haksav. We are not supposed to do that from a list. Reading them from a list. We're going to see more in the Gemara about that. Continues the Mishnah. Mafis ardam in banav v'in b'nei veisa ala shulchan. You are allowed to draw lots with your children, with your family members at the table on Shabbos, in order to determine who gets which portion. Says the Mishnah though, as long as we're not kind of pitting portion sizes off against each other, and it's a whole massive lottery competition to decide who gets, the double whammy sized portion of meat or of chicken or of kugel or of roast potatoes or whatever it is, as long as what we're trying to divide up is relatively fair. So, quite where this would feature in the whole kind of white versus dark chicken debate, I think would require further research, but that can be everybody's challenge. You've got loads of time to be able to do it. So, says the Mishnah, Matilin chalashin ala kodshim biyontav aval lo al hamanos. The Mishnah says that the priests, the Kohanim, would be allowed to cast lots to determine which kodshim, which parts of the sacrifice would go to different people, aval lo al hamanos, but not again on the portion sizes. So we're determining what sacrifices might go to different Kohanim, but not necessarily the specific portion sizes. So that's our Mishnah, and now we start 149a, Daf Kuf Mem Tes Amud with the following question. My timer. What is the reason, asks the Gemara, that you are allowed to do your lists by heart, but not supposed to do it from a written list? Says the Gemara, Rav Beivai Omar, Rav Beivai says, Gezerah Shema Yimchok. It is a decree, it is a safeguard to ensure that we don't come to erase anything. Because if we're going through the list and we say, oh gosh, I've only got 8 portions here, but I've got 10 people on my list that I'm expecting to come. So we might come to just cross a couple of people off the list and to instruct the waiters or instruct our servants at the time to make sure that they don't invite those people or welcome them in. So we are concerned that we're going to erase, according to Rav Beivai. Continues the Gemara though. Abaye says that the reason is the reason is that we might come to read secular, regular business documents, and that is going to be a problem on the Sabbath. Because we're not allowed to engage in commerce or to think about commerce or to process commercial dealings in our head. So we're concerned that if we come to read that list, we're going to come and read other things that we shouldn't be reading on Shabbos. But the Gemara asks, what is the difference, the practical implication between these two opinions? So the Gemara continues, the difference is, the implication is, what happens if what you are trying to read is actually really stuck high up on a wall? If we're concerned we're going to rub it out, we don't have to worry about that, it's too high up. And the opinion who said, Abaye, who said that we're concerned that he's going to read it, then we do need to be concerned that he's still going to read it. Continues the Gemara. Okay, but the one who says, Rabbi Vai, who said that we're concerned he's going to rub it out, he should also be concerned that that he's going to read. Why is Rabbi Vai not? Why is Rabbi Vai not afraid of this? Not only that, but are we really not concerned that he's going to erase it? But I've got a baraisa which is going to contradict this. The Mishnah said a while back that we're not supposed to read by the light of a candle. And Rabba said, even if the candle, the lamp, is 2 floors up, even if it's 2 plow lengths up, even if it was the height of 10 houses piled on top of one another, even if it was a massively high street light, lo yikra. That's what Rabba says. We're not supposed to be reading by the light of a candle. So if we have no concern about things being too high up, because you might come to tilt the candle and draw the wick closer to the oil, if we are worried, says Rabba over there, we should be worried over here as well. We should be worried that you're going to erase something even if it's extremely high up. So the Gemara revises the difference and offers another explanation. It's actually, we're worried if the wall, if it's written on a wall and it's very low down. Says the Gemara, according to the one who says that we are going to erase it, so then we have to be worried. But according to the one who says that we're going to be afraid that he's going to read other documents, we have no concern. Why? Nobody's going to get confused between a wall and a document. It's not going to lead one on to the other, says the Gemara. But according to the one who holds that we're afraid that he's going to read, why shouldn't he be afraid also that the person's going to erase? Why is it not a valid consideration, valid concern for that opinion? So the Gemara revises again. The reason is the chayk atavla v'pinkas. What if it is written, it's engraved, it's not written, sorry. What if it's engraved on a tablet or on a board? According to the one who is worried about erasure, it's engraved. We don't need to be worried that he's going to erase it because it's etched in. And according to the one who says that we're afraid he's going to read, so then we do have to be concerned. Because if he's going to read from the board, they would say he's going to read from other things as well. Says the Gemara there. The one who says that we're not concerned, that we are concerned about erasure, let him be worried also about reading. And if you were going to tell me that we don't need to be worried that he's going to read on paper because he's never going to get confused between a tablet and a board, well, hang on a minute. There's a baraisa which contradicts this. Then a person can count how many guests will sit inside, how many guests will sit outside, how many portions are going to be put in front of everybody. But says the Gemara over here, this quote from a baraisa, that is when the writing is on the wall. Hey, that's a good phrase, writing on the wall. But not if it's been written on a tablet or a board. Gemara wants to understand what's going on here. What are the circumstances? If we're going to say that it's written in ink, then what difference does it make if it's written on a wall or if it's written on a tablet or a board? Rather, we're going to say that it's been engraved. Nonetheless, we learn that if it's been engraved onto a wall, then fine. But not if it's been engraved onto a tablet or a board. Ella, says the Gemara. Rather we interpret the original application, the original implication. We revert back to that one. We say we're talking about when it's up on a wall, really high up. And the fact that we brought a question from Rabba's statement about reading by candlelight to Rabba Tanahi. The truth is that the discussion with Rabba's opinion, that was subject to a dispute at the level of the Mishnah, at the level of the Tanayim. Detanya, Mone Adam es Orcha ves Paparosa Mepiv Ala Min HaKasav. A person can count the number of guests, the number of dishes, verbally by heart. Aval lo min HaKasav, but not if it's written on a list. But says Ravacha, Mate Michtav Shal Gabe HaKosa. He permits it if it's writing written on a wall. Heichidami, what's the case? Ilema Dichsiv Misasa, if we're going to say that it's writing quite low down, Leicha Shema Yimchak, then we have to be afraid that it's going to be rubbed out. Elalav de Kasav Midali. Rather, we're talking about writing which is high up. Ushma mina de Rabba Tanaihi, and this infers absolutely that Rabba was subject to a dispute at the level of the Tanaim. Shma mina. Are we in the right place? No, we're not. Let's scroll down a little bit. Vahani Tanai, Kahani Tanai. That machlokes, that dispute, those Tanaim, is also like this other machlokes with Tanaim in another topic, Titania, because it says in the Baraisa, Ein ro'in b'mare b'Shabbos. We are not allowed to look in the mirror on Shabbos. Why are we not allowed to look in? You are going to see a dangling hair, a loose hair, something that looks unkempt and untidy, and you're going to end up plucking it or cutting it on Shabbos. Rabbi Meir mate b'mare hakavua b'kosa, but Rabbi Meir says that you're allowed to look in the mirror as long as the mirror is attached to the wall. Oh, what difference does it make if it's fixed into the wall? What's the difference over there? Says the Gemara, because in between, as you run off to go and get yourself a pair of scissors or to go and get yourself a knife or whatever it is, and in the meanwhile, whilst you're running off to do that, you're going to remember that it's Shabbos. So the Gemara asks an obvious question. So while you're running off from your portable mirror, you're also going to run off and realize that it's Shabbos, and then you're not going to come and cut it off. So the Gemara says, we're actually talking about a metal mirror. Why do we need to be worried about a metal mirror? Because the metal mirror would have sharp edges. And a sharp portable metal mirror, you're just going to use that to cut off the loose hairs. But if it's fixed to the wall, then you're not. And this is like Rav Nachman, who said in the name of Rabba Barabuha. What did he say? Why do we say that a mirror of metal is forbidden? Because a person is going to remove dangling hairs. So as we said, if it's a portable mirror, if it's a metal mirror, then we're going to be concerned. If it's fixed to the wall, however, then we are not going to be concerned. And so, what we're going to say over here is that why is these machlokes, why are these disputes similar? Because we're talking about a situation where it's impractical to remove the hair, and therefore it's going to be allowed. And similarly, with our writing up very, very high, we are not going to be concerned that he's going to be able to erase it because it's too high up and it's impractical to be able to do so. Continues the Gemara. Tanu Rabbanu. The rabbis taught, Kasav ha'mahalech tachas hatzura v'tachas ha'diyuknaos asul likrosa b'Shabbos. We're not allowed to read the captions that run underneath an image, underneath a picture, or underneath a painting of people. We're not supposed to read those captions on Shabbos. Again, because it might lead you to read something that is to do with business that you're not supposed to be reading. You're going to end up reading other documents. So something which is so detached from importance, like an art caption, not supposed to read that because we might come to read things that we're not allowed to read on Shabbos. Says the Gemara, that Yukna Asma Afachol Asa Lehistakel Ba Mishum Shnema Tifnu El Ha'ilinin. But an image of a person with a caption, you're not even supposed to look at that. During the week, we're not supposed to look at pictures of people because we have a pasuk which says that we should not just turn towards idols. And there's a strong connection between idols carved out, idols painted in, whatever it is, to carve out a human form or a form of a body, that could be considered to be an idol. So we have to be concerned about that even during the week. My Talmud, what is that teaching over there? Amar Rabbi Chanin, al tifnu el midatchem. Rabbi Chanin is saying that we are supposed to not push God out of our minds by looking at these images. So with all of these things, as we've said, we always have to do further research, but it is interesting that this does get discussed all those thousands of years ago, the types of things that we allow our eyes to see. We're coming up to these parshios where we talk about the Shema. We have the los asura acharei levavachem acharei neichen. We have a concept in the paragraph of the Shema, third paragraph, that we say every single day, that we are supposed to be careful with what we look at and with what we allow in our homes and allow in our hearts and allow our eyes to see. There's a caution over here that we have to be very, very careful, irrespective of how the practical halacha might actually be. Conceptually, we have to be attuned and sensitive to it. Continues the Gemara, quoting from the Mishnah, Mafis Adam in Banav in Bnei Beis al Shulchan, that we are allowed to cast lottery, make a lottery between members of our household. Says the Gemara, in Banav in Bnei Beis in, if it's with people within our house, within our family members, yes. V'im acher lo, but with other people, then we're not supposed to do this. My timer, what is the reason for this? Because Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, because Rav Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel, the Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, B'nei Chabura, are we in the right place? Yeah. B'nei Chabura hamakpidin ze al ze, over mishum mida, mishum mishkal, mishum minyan, mishum lovin, uforin b'yomtim. The reason is that people from outside your house, they are going to be really, really, really worried about how big their portions are going to be. You know how sometimes you have guests in your house and they're like so worried about how much food they're actually going to get to eat. You see them like sniffing around, like concerned that someone's going to take the last piece of chicken, someone's going to take the last piece of cake, whatever it is. You see them, like they're on the edge of their seats. So people from outside of the home, we say, are going to be more concerned about what they're getting. And not just in that sense, but also in the sense of the business that you do. They're going to be very, very particular when you're measuring with them, when you're weighing things, when you're counting things. So these people, we have to be very, very careful and make sure that we're not violating anything by doing that. So the quote from Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel says that you could be in violation of measuring things, of weighing things, of counting things, of lending things and repaying things on a Yom Tov. Uchadivrei Beis Hillel, as we turn the page onto 149b, onto Kuf Mem Tes on the base, Uchadivrei Beis Hillel, Af Mishum Ribis. And there's another prohibition that one could end up being over on, which is the prohibition of charging interest, which we're not allowed to do in Judaism. Ihachi, asks the Gemara, if so, Banav of Bnei Beis Nami, then we also have to be concerned about ribis and these things for our children and our family members. Says the Gemara, Banav of Bnei Beis Hainu Tamak ad Rav Yehuda Amarav. This is the reason, according to Rav Yehuda, in the name of Rav, why we're not worried about this. The Amar Rav Yehuda Amarav, Mutar lahalvos Banav of Bnei Beis beribis kadei la'atima antam ribis. That you're actually allowed to loan to your family members, immediate family members, with conditions of interest attached, so that they can actually experience how difficult it is to handle a loan repayment that has got interest attached to it. And if they experience that and they see how bad it is, then they will understand and they will internalize that and never come to charge other people that. Ihachi, if asks the Gemara, Mana Gedola Keneged Magna Katana Nami. If that's the case, then we should be able to cast lots for big portions against small portions. But we have said that we shouldn't do that. So the Gemara says, Inachi Nami, yeah, you're actually right. There's actually a little bit missing from this Mishnah, and so we have to plug in some of the gaps. We have to fill in the gaps. This is how it should be read. Mafis Adam in Banavim Bnei Beis ala Shulchan. We are allowed to cast lots with our children and family members at the table. Afilu mana gadola keneged mana katana. Even if it's big portions against small portions. Who is going to get the leg and who is going to get the thigh? Who is going to get the second piece of whatever? Says Rav Yehuda, in the name of Rav, you're allowed to do that. Why my time? What's the reason? Because Rav Yehuda Amarav, Rav Yehuda said in the name of Rav, in Banav in Bnei Beis or in Imacherim Lo, that you're allowed to do it with members of your household, but not with other members. Why my time? Because Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, because of the reason of Rav Yehuda in the name of Shmuel. Mana Gedola, Keneged Mana Katana, Af Bachol La'acherim Asa. Big portions against small portions is going to be forbidden even during the week. My timer, Mishum Kuvya. The reason why it would be forbidden even during the week is because it's a form of gambling. And Judaism frowns significantly against gambling. And so we even have to be concerned over there. And that is why, even during the week, that is going to be forbidden. We're going to take a small pause over here, and we're going to resume the rest of the shir very, very shortly. Continues the Gemara Matin Chalashin Al V'chule, talking about being able to draw lots for the Kohanim for the sacrifices, but not for the specific portions. Asks the Gemara, Maya Val Lo Al Hamanos. What is the meaning of this phrase, Lo Al Hamanos, not on the portions, not on the not on the portions? It says the Gemara Amar Rabbi Yaakov Berei Debas Yaakov. Interesting over here. We have a name over here, Rabbi Yaakov, the son of the daughter of Yaakov, and we're taught actually that his father was not worthy of being mentioned in the Gemara, and that is why he is referred to as Rabbi Yaakov, the son of the daughter of Yaakov. So what does he say? Amar Rabbi Yaakov Berei Debas Yaakov Aval Lo Al Hamanos Shalcho B'Yontov. He says that they must not draw lots for weekday portions on a festival. To which the Gemara asks, Pshita, this is obvious. Mode to say, but what might we have thought? Hoyel Ukasiv, since it says in the pasuk Ba'amcha Kimuruvei Kohen, since it says in the pasuk, for your people are like those that strive with the priest, Afilu Manos Tachol Nami. So we might think that even lotteries for weekday portions were also permitted. Kamash Melan, we therefore come to teach us that this is not the case, and to prevent fighting, the rule applies also for those times as well. Continues the Gemara, Rabbi Yaakov Berei Debas Yaakov, another statement by Rabbi Yaakov, the son of the daughter of Yaakov. Anyone who causes another person to be punished on his account, he will not enter into the partition, so to speak, how would you describe this? Within the confines of Hashem, so to speak. So now we're going to see a whole long piece to do with this. Minala. From where do we know this fact? To which the Gemara answers, if you want to say that it's because we have a series of psukim that say as follows, taken from Malachim, from kings. So it says like this, Vayomer Hashem mi yifata es achav vayal vayipol baramos gilal vayomer zeh b'cho v'zeh omer b'cho. So what is this saying? This is saying that, and the Lord said, who will entice Achav to go up and fall at Ramot Gilad? And one said in this manner, and another said in that manner. Vayetze haruach, and the spirit came out. Vayamod lifnei Hashem, and stood before Hashem. Vayomer ani afatenu, I will entice him, he says. But going there, finishing off that pasuk over there. Continuing in the Gemara, Vayomer eitze v'hayisa ruach sheka b'fi kol neviyav, Vayomer tipaseh v'gam tuchal tzei v'asei. The pasuk continues and says, I will go out and will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all of his prophets. And he said, you shall entice him and prevail. Go out and do this. To which the Gemara asks, we said, what is this spirit? My ruach. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said, Ze rucha shel navos. This is the spirit of navos. We might say, and what did the pasuk mean when it said go out? Amar Rav said, say mimichitzaso. That means that you should go out from within my partition, from within my inner circle. So that is our evidence that somebody who causes punishment for somebody else is going to be, so to speak, pushed out or exiled, as it were, from within Hashem's inner circle. The Dilma Hasam Hainu Taima, perhaps the reason over there is Dichsiv, as the pasuk says, Dove Shikarim Lo Yikain. Maybe the reason is that one who speaks lies shall not dwell before my eyes, and that's the reason why the spirit of Navot was removed, and not because, as we saw in the quote from the Psukim earlier. So rather, we're going to see it from here. It says the pasuk Savata Kalo Mikavot Shosei Gam Ata Vaharel V'Gomer. Says the pasuk, as we scroll down, you are filled with shame instead of honor. drink you, and be like one who is uncircumcised. To which we now analyze this pasuk. Savata kalon mikavad. You are filled with shame instead of honor. Zed Nebuchadnezzar. That refers to Nebuchadnezzar. Shasa Shisei Gam Ata Vaharel. What does it mean? Who is it referring to? Drink you and be like one who is uncircumcised. Says the Gemara Zed Tzidkiah. This refers to Tzidkiah, who, as we're taught over here, was also punished for being the cause of Nebuchadnezzar's punishment, as we're going to see. But there's an objection that perhaps the entire verse is actually written about Nebuchadnezzar. Tzidkiah was actually righteous. So so what did he do wrong? Why was all of this coming to him? Rav Yehuda said in the name of Rav, at the time when this Rasha, Nebuchadnezzar, wanted to do to this righteous man, to Tzidkiyahu, so we're taught that a particularly painful, dramatic punishment occurred to Nebuchadnezzar, as we're going to see very shortly. So rather, let's have a look at over here. Maybe this is the basis for the idea that you are pushed away from Hashem's inner circle. Says the pasuk in Mishlei. Says the pasuk in Proverbs. Gam anosh latzadik lo tov. Punishment is also not good for the righteous. Ein lo tov el hara. Really, this is a euphemism for bad. So when we say lot of, really we're just trying to say bad, but I guess the Torah Mishlei is speaking poetically or more politely, but actually when it says lot of, it means ra, means bad. Uchsiv, and the pasuk says, Ki lo el chafetz rasha ata lo yegucha ra. Tzadik ata Hashem v'lo yagur migurcha ra. So the pasuk says in Tehillim, Ki lo el chafetz rasha ata lo yegucha ra. The pasuk says, "For you are not a God that desires wickedness; evil not dwell within you." Meaning, Tzadik ata Hashem. Hashem is righteous, v'lo yagur migurcha ra, and evil shall not dwell with you in your place of dwelling. Meaning that you're going to be that if you are someone who is evil, you are not going to be able to dwell within God's partition. So that, in other words, was evidence again, another way perhaps of appreciating that Hashem does not tolerate evil people or people that bring about bad things within His midst. How do we know that the wording that we had in our mission of chalashim, not casting lots, how do we know that actually means lots, right? Pura, as in Purim. How do we know that means lots? That it's to do with the lottery. Dichsiv, says the pasuk, Eich nafalta mishamayim, Halel ben Shachar, nigdarta la'aretz cholesh al goyim. Says the pasuk, how have you fallen from heaven, O day star, son of the morning? How have you been cut down to the ground, casting lots? There it is, la'aretz cholesh al goyim, casting lots over the nation. So that is the evidence that is brought that this word chalashim denotes lottery. Amar Rabba bar Rav Huna, Amar Rabba bar Rav Huna says, Melamed shayamatu pur al gadoli machus leida eza ben yoma shamishkav zachur. So Rabba bar Rav Huna says that this verse teaches that Nebuchadnezzar would cast lots for the royal leaders of the nation he had captured in order to know whose day it would be to treat them, with mishkav zachur, which is illicit relations between people of the same gender, homosexual relations. This is the way that he would treat the people that he had captured, the leaders. Uchsiv kol machi goyim kulam, and it is written all the kings of the nation, all of them. Amar Rabbi Yochanan shenachlu mimishkav zachur. Rabbi Yochanan said that the meaning of this verse is that they rested from homosexual relations, but Nebuchadnezzar would cast lots as to determine who he would take to be treated in this way. But Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Kol Yamav Shalosa Rasha Lo Nimtza Schot B'Peh Kol Bria. Rabbi Yochanan says all of the days of the life that Nebuchadnezzar was around, laughter could not be found in the mouth of any creature. Shnei Amar, as the pasuk says, Nachashata Kol Haaretz Patzarina. Says the pasuk, the whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing, which implies that until now there had not been any song. But Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yitzchak said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, it is forbidden to stand in the ruins of the house of that Rasha, which Rasha Nebuchadnezzar, and demons shall dance there. So there's a big concern, says the Maharsha, as we see on the screen over here, that you could be harmed by the harmful forces that remain in such an evil place. Amar Rav Yehuda said in the name of Rav, at the time when Nebuchadnezzar wanted to torture Tzidkiah with this punishment, so we are taught that a miracle occurred, and his foreskin was stretched 300 cubits, and it surrounded the entire company at Nebuchadnezzar's feast. Shneimar, as it says in the pasuk that we quoted a little earlier, Savata kala mikavod shesei gamata v'ha'arel. As it says in the pasuk that we saw, you are filled with shame instead of honor. Drink you and be like one who is uncircumcised. To which the Gemara analyzes and says, Arel, the word Arel, b'gematria shalosh meyos have, has the same numerical value as 300, which is where they get this stretching of 300 others. The Amarav Yehuda Amarav B'shah Shiyara Dosa Rasha Gehenna, at the time when Nebuchadnezzar went down to Gehenna and was finally going to be punished, the Gemara teaches us a fascinating thing. Rashu Kal Yardei Gehenna Amru. Everybody got afraid down in Gehenna. Shema Limshal Aleihim Behubah, because they'd obviously heard about the reputation of this guy Nebuchadnezzar, and they were concerned that he was now coming to rule over them in Gehenna. So they were saying, maybe he's going to come and rule over them, or Lechalus Kamosam Hubah, maybe he's actually being punished and is now in a weak place like them. Shneimar Gamat Achulis Kamono Eleinu Nimsheles. As the pasuk says, have you also become weak like us? Have you become like us? Yatsasa Baskol Ba'amra, and a heavenly voice came out and said, Mimi Noamta Radava Hashkava Es Arelim. The pasuk which says in Yechezkel and says, whom do you pass in beauty? Go down and be laid with the uncircumcised, confirming that Nebuchadnezzar was going to be punished just like everyone else. The pasuk in Yeshaya says, how has the oppressor ceased? The exactor of gold has ceased. Amar Rav Yehuda Amarav. Rav Yehuda Amarav says, Shavsa Uma Zu She'amra. So the meaning of this verse is that this nation said, turning onto the top of 150a, Kuf Nun Amad Aleph. Wow, we're in the home stretch now, guys. So Amar Rav Yehuda Amarav, Shavsa, the word Shavsa that we saw in this pasuk, Uma Zu She'amra Medod V'Haveh. This is the nation that said, measure and bring a lot of money. Ikad Amri, and some say that the meaning is She'amr Ma'od Ma'od Hevi B'lo Mida. Bring very, very much without measure. V'Rabu Yisera Hosatali, says the pasuk, another verse relating to Nebuchadnezzar, and surpassing greatness was added to me. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba. Rav Yehuda said in the name of Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba, Melamed Sheracha ba'ari Zachar lekashar tanin barasho lekayim mashenemar legam eschayas hasadeh nasati lo la'avdo. This teaches that Nebuchadnezzar rode on top of a male lion and tied a serpent to his head, fulfilling what was said about him, and the beasts of the field I have also given him to serve him. for those of you who are not sure, Nebuchadnezzar was not a great guy. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all we got time for today. So we will see you again next week when, please God, we are going to be finishing Maseches Shabbos. It is so close now. We will either go and plow through 156 and 157 so that we can finish together, or we'll find some other way of doing it. But guys, 1 week to go basically. And it's very, very exciting. So thank you all for joining, and we'll see you next